so that you guys will be like, hey. Rules. No. Come on. Okay. So the rules help us to fulfill our mission. That's why they're necessary. We have to have them because our mission is to create life-changing moments for children of abuse. And so our rules have to be in place. And some of them may seem like overkill, but like I said, this is not church camp and church kids. So we have different reporting procedures, we have different requirements, and so you might hear a rule and go, well, that's kind of going overboard. It really is not. Because trust me, I don't want to say no if I don't have to. See what I'm saying? So we're partnered with government agencies that we answer to, and it's those agencies that allow our kids to come. So we need to go along with what they ask us to do and what their guidelines are. We also know that wounded children deserve extra protection. They can't take another hit. They had enough hits. And in the years that we've been doing RFK as a chapter, we haven't had any accusations. We haven't had any major injuries. There's a reason for that. It's because we follow the rules and because we're a little hard-nosed about them. But that's because we want to protect the kids. It's all about them. And also the rules help protect you. That's why we don't have accusations, because you are protected by the rules. So we have to have some rules that are not flexible. These are the rules that are absolutely have to be followed 100%. Okay, you ready? The first rule, the most important rule, is too deep. Too deep. So that means there must always be 2 trained adults providing direct and indirect supervision over a camper at all times. Okay? So there is absolutely no one-on-one adult with camper or camper with camper at all. Okay? In large areas, so if we're out on the playground or in the gym or something like that, in large areas, children need to be in line of sight of 2 or more adults who know they are watching that child. So it's not enough just to have, a handful of campers and 2 staff over here just chit-chatting. That's not enough. So let me give you a scenario. Everybody's out on let's say all the boys are out on the playground and they're playing, and there's let's say 2 of our male counselors took a quick break, and but what they notice that there's some staff out there just being available for 2 deep. So they're like, oh, there's staff over there. I'm just going to run and refill my water bottle. Those staff don't know that you're not watching your kid. They don't know if they don't see you leave, they don't know that they're supposed to be watching your camper. So we have to make sure that the person who's supposed to be watching the camper knows that they're supposed to be watching the camper. Got it? And like I said, cousins or our volunteers under 18 cannot provide that. So has to be an adult. So your handout that I gave you, or that we gave you earlier, the 3 W's, and I did not bring mine up with me. Who wants to lend me one? Look at, thank you. Okay. So you see that 360-degree supervision theory. If you're an adult, I'm sorry? Oh, does anyone need one? Sarah does now that I took hers. I'll give it back to you. Okay. So every adult at camp is primary and secondary supervision at all times. You always have eyes open, unless you're like in the break room. So you can read. I'm not going to read all of this to you, but you can read what that means, primary and secondary. But here are the things I want to emphasize. Anytime you are kind of assessing a situation, because it is all of our jobs to assess a situation. We're all mandatory reporters here, okay? So it's always our job to keep our eyes open for the safety of the kids. So there are the 3 W's you see. These are the things you need to read in every situation. Who are they? So who, I always give the same scenario. I was trying to think of something different. But you're outside and you see, I'm just going to pick on somebody. You see, because this would never happen. You see Savannah and her camper. I just said it would never happen. You see Savannah and her camper walking past the playground over the bridge. And it's just the 2 of them. Okay? So you're going, wait, who are they? What are they? Where are they? They're walking away from everyone. They're about to be out of line of sight, right? What are they doing? At that time is when you need to go join them. And if you are a counselor and your camper is agreeable to go with you and join them, go. If not, just yell too deep. Yell it loud, and there are always staff around, and we will go follow. But it is all of our responsibility. You see an adult and a child going into a building alone together. Follow them. Okay? If you're a cousin and you see that and you don't know if anybody else sees, tell an adult immediately. Okay? So we're going to assess the situation. Yes, Cindy? I think what we're going to do this year is put something on their name tag that indicates that they can't be the too deep, so that you don't ask the wrong person. But all of our cousins, like, if you were to say, can you be too deep, they'll go, nah. So they'll jump away. Keith? Yep. I'm telling you, all you gotta do is yell. We're keeping our ears open.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you're a counselor, stay with your camper.
Yeah.
And notify somebody else, because there should be staff available to step in. Like, we don't want you to leave yours.
Right.
And
Right.
go be 2 feet.
Right.
So,
right.
And you said take yours, if there's nothing else or no other opportunity, then take your camper and follow along.
Right. And feel free to say to the person, if you're in close enough proximity, remember we got to be too deep. And don't be offended if someone says that to you. If they misread the situation and you're like, well, so-and-so's right there, they're going with me. Don't get offended. They didn't know that. They're just trying to help you, okay? So we're just going to be there to remind one another. The bathrooms, this is important. This is along the line of too deep. So when we're at camp, only one child goes in the bathroom at a time. No one else goes in with them. Not you, not anyone else. Just that child. So when when a child needs to go to the bathroom, you need to check and make sure that it is empty, and then you can let them in. And then there needs to be 2 adults outside the bathroom. So if you're the adult's counselor, let's say it's mealtime, we're in the cafeteria, this is the cafeteria, there are bathrooms right over here, and you're walking with your camper to take them to the bathroom, right? You say to a staff member, somebody sitting at one of these tables, hey, can you be my eyes? Or can you be my too deep? Check the bathroom, let your camper go in, that staff member will be there watching. It's all good, okay? Okay. Once we're at the campground, we'll kind of review how that works in the different scenarios, because there's all kinds of different scenarios for that. But campers are not allowed to be in the bathroom together, and no adults allowed in there with them. Okay. And then as far as sleeping, I don't think this is going to be an issue because we have so many counselors and campers this year. But there's a minimum of 2 counselors and 2 campers in each bunk room at all times. So if your camper got wet at the activity and they need to go change, someone's got to go with you. Okay? If one pair leaves, let's say that you're in there with your camper and another camper and their counselor, and that camper takes off out the door, so the counselor has to go with them. You're by yourself. You get that door open ASAP and and stand in the doorway, right? Because there's other people probably around, and just say, I need it too deep. There's usually enough people around. It's going to be fine. So don't stress about it. We'll make sure you're too deep, but just make sure that that's your number one goal. And this protects not only the child, but you. If a child were to falsely accuse you, if there was another adult there to vouch for you, it's not going to be a problem. Any questions about too deep? Awesome. Okay. The next non-negotiable rule is private beds. Private beds. This applies to everyone. So your camper's bed is your camper's bed. You may not sit on your camper's bed, nor may other campers sit on your camper's bed. Only the camper can be on their bed. Same goes for your bed. That is your bed. No one else sits on your bed. Why? Evan. Well, you're okay, because you might not mind another counselor sitting on your bed, but what does that tell the camper? That's okay to let other people sit on your bed, right?
And also, they could go home and be like, yeah, we hung out, we sat, and it can sound weird when you hear, like, dudes on the bed.
Yes, that's why. Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want anybody to be able to say that. So, in the case of a child needing comfort and they're in their bed, or you're reading to them, or you're, whatever, while they're in bed, you can sit, if they're on the bottom bunk, you can sit on a chair or on the floor next to the bed and interact with them. You can even, if they need you to hold their hand or whatever, they're afraid, you can do that, but you're not sitting on the bed. If they're on the top bunk, you kind of just have to stand there, like this. Yes?
So this is one that sounds like super simple, and you're like, duh, like their bed, but it's not. And so what you were saying earlier about being okay with reminders, like, don't hesitate to remind someone because it's huge. And like they said, it's so comfortable to be like, well, Chelsea was in my bed with me. Like, this is like an absolute huge thing. So do not hesitate to remind someone, and do not be offended when someone says, hey, I was on the bed. Like, it's really easy. Like, when you're sitting there talking, reading the book, they're showing you their birthday presents, you just sit down on the edge of the bed. It's so easy.
And especially staff, because you're not in there as much. So when you go in there to visit, or you're going in there for too deep, or for night relief or something, you're not thinking about it as much. And so it's very, very easy to do. So be okay if somebody reminds you, hey, private beds. The kids know the rules too. They learn these rules too. So all you have to do, if they start to sit on your bed or they start to sit on someone else's, you can just remind them, oh, remember the rule is private beds. They will see a video before they even come out to camp and tells them that. So it's a reminder for them. Okay, so we've got 2 deep. We've got private beds. Let's talk about personal touch, and that's the other handout I gave you with the boxes, the 3 T's. Now these are pretty standard for working with kids from hard places. So we have on there acceptable talk and unacceptable talk, acceptable touch and unacceptable, and then territory, personal boundaries, what's acceptable and what is not. And you guys, again, you can read, so I'm not going to read it to you, but I want to focus on the healthy touch portion. Excuse me. So we can see there that we do want to provide healthy touch for them, at least the campers that want it. Sometimes they don't want you to touch them, so we need to be sensitive to that as well. But healthy touch can be a side hug. Now, we tend to get lazy about this one because when the campers come in to give us a big old hug, and they're just so cute, look at their little tiny faces, and we just want to hold them in our arms. We can't do that. Can't do that. So, when we, what? She's like, you want a what? It's natural when a kid comes to you with open arms, you want to open your arms, right? So I always have one of my sons come up, and they're not here, so I can't. Come here, Linda. Come here. Linda's my camper. She's coming to give me a big old hug. I put my arm around her, right? We're still cuddling.
I still felt loved.
See? So, side hugs, high fives, fist bumps. You can touch their shoulder, yes. Serious. Haven't you ever done that before? If they're running up and latching on you, they're probably one of the little ones, right? Yeah. It's usually the real little ones. They do that. You're just like, oh. If you can get on your knees and turn to the side, you guys just have to be fast, right? Somebody run at me. No, I'm just kidding. No. Not. Yeah, maybe Crystal. We're not going to do that. I honestly think you could get to your knees, but then turn pretty quickly. So, some of us. The other thing that some of the campers tend to do, so there's 3 main personal touch things we want to keep in mind. So it's the hugs like that. We want to avoid that. There is no lap sitting. So if they try to sit in your lap, you just say, hey, just sit right here by me. Put your arm around them, okay? There's no lap sitting, and there's no piggyback rides. Including in the pool, you can't play chicken and let them sit on your shoulders. No piggyback rides, okay? So if they try to climb on you, say, no, we can't do that. It's okay to say that, but then offer an alternative, right? We can't do that, but do you want to throw the ball or, yeah, let's fist bump. There you go, right? So basically you want to take care to redirect without rejecting the child. And like I said, those campers will be given those rules at registration, so they're not going to be surprised by you reiterating those. And if a child initiates and you don't get to move fast enough, and then you're like, oh no, I messed up. Where it becomes a problem is if you're the one who initiates it, the touch, the inappropriate touch, or if you allow it to linger too long. Because probably pretty quick after you do it, you're like, oh shoot. then you can, I mean, don't say that. But just that you can kind of redirect at that point. You're not going to get in trouble as long as you don't let it linger, but please try to avoid it. Do avoid it. Please take care to read the appropriate and inappropriate talk. That is really important. One of the things we don't do at camp, which most of us are well versed in, is sarcasm. No sarcasm at camp. And that includes with each other. Just take a week off. Why would I say we can't be sarcastic with each other? Crystal. That's one reason, but what if we're not around the kids? What if we're just in the command center? Reagan. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. You don't know where the person is. You don't know what they're dealing with that day. You don't, and so we don't want to take a chance of somebody, you know, emotional. Camp is emotional. What were you going to say, Jacob? Okay. He says what she said. Yeah. 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 Exactly what Jeff said. Jeff said we want to fill everybody's bucket. So we're focusing on words of encouragement, words of affirmation. Is sarcasm going to slip out sometimes? Probably. But just correct it real quick and use good words. You can tell each other that too. Hey, no hurts. Jeanette? Yep. Right. And the kids won't know you're being sarcastic. That's why we're not using it with the kids. They're going to take you literally. And so we're not going to do that. Inappropriate jokes, things like this. So, Amanda, tell us what to do if our camper... Tell us what to do if our camper is telling inappropriate jokes or saying inappropriate things to other campers. What do we do? Yeah. How about at camp we use good words, and so we're not going to... Right. So now you're putting me on the spot. You're right, it's not hurts, but at camp we want to put that stuff aside. We're just going to talk about what we're doing here at camp. Crystal. Absolutely. That's what y'all do. That's what y'all do anyway. I have campers coming up to me all week on, my counselor said that you said that I can't do such and such. And I look up at the counselor and they're like, come on, just, yep, that's what I said. That's what I said. So you can use me as a scapegoat. I'm perfectly okay with that. Okay. So please read your 3 T's. You take that with you. That's super important. And we're required to go over the 3 T's and the 3 W's every year. The other thing that the kids will learn at registration is the 3 R's, which are recognize. So they learn to recognize what's acceptable and what's unacceptable behavior. And they're told what that looks like. Resist. So they learn to resist inappropriate behavior and what to do. And then report. So if they feel unsafe, they can report. Okay. Yes. Yes. No, but it's very, I mean, it's from what my understanding is, it's standard when you work with kids like from hard places, right? Pretty much, yeah. Okay, so then the next non-negotiable rule, which is going to be pretty easy to follow, is photography. with our photography, only our designated staff are authorized to take pictures. You won't have your phone on you, so that's pretty easy to follow, but you don't bother bringing a camera because you can't take pictures. Only authorized staff are allowed to take pictures. Brandon, would you stand up, please? It's another Brandon, a different Brandon. Brandon is our main photographer, and then Kayla will also be taking pictures. You might see me taking pictures from time to time, and also Lee, if you know my husband Lee, he will be taking pictures and flying the drone, hopefully not into trees. And Cheryl, wave your hand. Cheryl sometimes takes pictures. Sometimes we have to plant people in different places because we've got so much going on. And Dan takes video. You'll meet Dan next. You'll see one of his videos today. So, now we also cannot distribute any pictures to you other than of our staff. So we don't get to take pictures home of the kids. And the only pictures that we post are safe photos, so you can't, they're not identifiable. Okay, so the next rule is exchanging personal information. Exchanging personal information. So we do not give to our campers our last names. I'm just checking my time. I gotta hurry. We can't give our last names, our addresses, our email address. We cannot add them on Facebook. You cannot give them your phone number, nothing. They know you by your first name. Now, if they ask you something like, where do you work? Say, I work at a school in Moline. You can say that much, right? You just can't say, I work at such, and it's at this address, and then so you can't have any further contact outside of Camper Club unless you go through the proper channels. So that means if you are wanting to have contact with a camper outside of Camper Club, you have to come talk to me first, and then we go through social services. You cannot do it on your own. And if you do it, you'll be dismissed. That's one rule. That's how it is, because that's how predators work. So a lot of times they'll come to volunteer at a place, an organization like this, and they are model volunteers, but then they contact outside. Now, in the history, 26 years now, I think, of Royal Family Kids Camps, this has never happened with one of our campers because of this, because we're so stringent on these rules. And it's not just my camp, all the camps. Now, there have been volunteers at a Royal Family Kids Camp that have gone on to abuse children, but not children they met at camp, because they couldn't. Okay? So that's why that rule is, I'm going to hold you to it. So the kids might ask you, but you have to tell them no. Now, they know this rule too, so they will not be surprised. That doesn't mean they won't try, but they won't be surprised. Please do not tell them, maybe I'll see you at club, because we don't know what kids will be at club yet. We don't know if their caregiver will say they can do club. We don't know what, we just have to say, it was so great spending this week with you. But we cannot promise any further contact at all. Not even next year. We don't know where that child will be at camp time next year. Sometimes we can't find them. So we can't say that. Okay, next rule. And I'm going to wrap it up. Medications. All medications, like if you are a counselor, and you're staying in the bunkhouses with the kids, all of your medications must be given to the nurse at the beginning of the week. You cannot keep any medications, any vitamins with you in the bunkhouse. That is to protect the kids. The nurse will make sure you get them. She is amazing. So you don't even have to worry about it. Staff, you can keep your medications with you if you keep them in your room. Do not carry the bottle around camp with you because you never know when you might forget it somewhere and somebody might find it. Okay? You don't have to bring any over-the-counter meds. We will have pretty much everything you could ever want. And so if you need something, we will get it to you. Okay, name tags. Your name tags must be worn all week. Even visitors will be wearing the name tags, and those indicate to the child that we are safe. So that's why they have to have them on their person. Also, our campground, we have exclusive use. There are no other groups going to be there that week. So if we see somebody who doesn't have one of our royal family name tags on or one of the campground name tags on, we know that they're not supposed to be there, and then we need to report it. Okay? So then you need to wear your name tag so somebody's not reporting you. Okay? So what are those of you who've been to camp, when can you take it off? Sleeping and showering. And swimming, of course. Counselors, sometimes I know at the break they take it off, but I prefer you don't take it off before you leave the bunk, which means you need to bring it with you, because I don't want the kids to see you take it off at that time. Because then you'd be taking it off to leave the bunk. And we want the kids to wear theirs. And we have a hard enough time getting them to wear theirs all the time. So, okay, so just a quick, those are our non-negotiables. Any questions about those non-negotiables? Cool. Guidelines for a successful camp. You're going to see this in your manual. I'm just going to run through it super quick because we can talk more about it in June, but we want to try to stick to the schedule as much as possible. Keep your cabins clean and help your campers do the same as much as possible. It helps the kids feel less chaotic if there's less mess. All of our snacks stay in the command center. Do not take the snacks outside of the command center. You will see it's like every snack you might ever want is in there. But we don't want the kids to know that because we have special snacks for them. So don't take them out of the command center. Yes. Yes, no. So we can't give food you guys can't give food to the kids unless it's through us. Okay? So even if you want to bring something for your bunk, please don't, because some of our kids have dietary restrictions or food sensitivities or something like that. So we have to be the one to distribute food. All of you, your phones will stay in the command center. You can use it during your breaks. During your break, you can take your phone out of the command center, but then it goes right back in there. Okay. If you smoke, vape, chew, these items must stay in the command center and not on your person. Never on your person, unless you're going outside to use it. But, okay? So, honestly, the campground rules, they really don't like us to do those things. They make some allowances. But here's the thing. Here's what I'd prefer. If you smoke, vape, chew, do it in such a way that no one really knows that you do it because you're so discreet. Perfect. The other thing is absolutely, and I just have to say this because it is an absolute rule, absolutely no alcohol, marijuana, or drugs of any kind at camp. That's not just my rule, that's campground rules. And we can't break campground rules or they won't have us back. So, none of that. Take a week off. Okay. I am going to go over that other part later. Any questions about any of our rules? Okay, so she had a good question. Some of the little girls have trouble getting on and off their swimsuits. They might need some help. So the nurse is able to help with that. So if you need, sometimes you can give verbal instruction from the other side of the door. Sometimes that works. Other times you're just going to need to call for the nurse, and she's allowed to come in and help as long as she's too deep. Yes. I'm sorry? And Jackie can help because she is also a nurse. Now, she's not serving as a nurse at camp, but she can help you with the bathing suits. Sound good? Okay. So I'm going to invite Andrea